The last melody of the mansion.
In an abandoned mansion on the outskirts of the city, shrouded in thick fog, no one had lived for a long time. Old floorboards creaked under the feet of occasional travelers, and window frames rattled with every gust of wind, creating an eerie melody that echoed throughout the surroundings. Locals avoided the place, whispering blood-curdling stories to each other about ghosts wandering the rooms and inexplicable phenomena occurring inside. No one knew exactly what had happened within the walls of this house, but everyone was sure evil resided there, and it did not wish to release its victims. One brave soul, a young and eager paranormal investigator, decided to unravel the mansion's mystery. He didn't believe in superstitions, considering them merely products of an overactive imagination, and was confident he could find a logical explanation for all the peculiarities. He carried a backpack filled with equipment, a voice recorder, a night vision camera, motion sensors, and several flashlights. He wanted to document every step, every sensation, to later present irrefutable evidence of his beliefs to the world. The moment he crossed the threshold, a shiver ran down his spine. A cold, unusual for a summer night, pierced to the bone, and the air felt thick and heavy. The smell of dust, decay, and something else, more pungent and unpleasant, filled his lungs. He switched on his flashlight, and the beam of light picked out from the darkness tattered wallpaper, ripped furniture, and broken mirrors, reflecting only emptiness. In every corner, a shadow seemed to lurk, ready to pounce at any moment. He began his investigation on the first floor, methodically examining each room. In the living room, he found an old piano covered in a layer of dust. His fingers involuntarily brushed the keys, and a creaky, discordant sound erupted from the instrument, making him jump. In the adjacent room, apparently the dining room, the table was set for dinner, but the food had long since rotted, turning into a repulsive mass. Shards of crockery lay everywhere, and strange, scratch-like marks were visible on the walls. As he ascended to the second floor, he felt the pressure around him intensify. The air grew heavier, and the cold seeped deeper despite his warm clothing. He entered a bedroom where a four-poster bed stood, covered with torn sheets. On the bedside table lay an old yellowed photograph depicting a young woman with sorrowful eyes. Looking at her, he felt an inexplicable longing. Suddenly, a quiet whisper echoed, seemingly from everywhere and nowhere at once. He strained his ears, trying to decipher the words, but they were indistinct, as if someone spoke an ancient, forgotten language. Then came the sound of footsteps, slow and heavy, approaching him. He turned around, but saw no one. His heart pounded faster, and he felt cold sweat trickle down his spine. His night vision camera began to flicker, and the voice recorder emitted strange static-like sounds. motion sensors triggered chaotically, indicating the presence of something invisible around him. He tried to rationalize what was happening, to convince himself it was just equipment malfunctions, but an inner voice told him he was wrong. He was not alone here. The next second, he felt icy fingers touch his neck. The cold pierced him to the bone, and he froze, unable to move. Then he saw her, a translucent female figure, hovering a few feet away from him. Her eyes were full of sorrow, and her arms were outstretched as if she was trying to reach for something. He recognized her. It was the woman from the photograph. She moved closer to him, and he felt his body begin to numb. Her whisper grew louder, and now he could make out a few words. Help. Release. He wanted to scream, to run, but his legs wouldn't obey. He was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear. Suddenly, the figure vanished, leaving behind only an intense cold and a feeling of complete desolation. He fell to his knees, trying to catch his breath, and his gaze fell upon an old diary lying on the floor, which hadn't been there before. With trembling hands he opened it, and on the yellowed pages, written in neat handwriting, he began to read a story that would forever change his perception of the world. It was the diary of the very woman who inhabited the mansion. She described her life, full of misfortune and loneliness, her love for a man who betrayed her, and her death, which occurred in this house from longing and grief. She could not find peace. Her soul was tied to the place where she spent her last days. She longed for freedom, but did not know how to achieve it. Reading these lines, he felt deep pity for the unfortunate woman. He understood that she was not an evil spirit, but merely a lost soul seeking solace. He closed the diary and stood up, deciding that he must help her. He didn't know how, but he was sure he would find a way. He returned to the bedroom and found an old casket there, which he hadn't noticed before. Inside lay several antique pieces of jewelry and a letter addressed to her. It was a letter from the very man who had betrayed her. In it, he asked for her forgiveness and confessed his love. But the letter was never sent. It remained in the casket, never reaching its intended recipient. He realized that this very letter was what prevented her soul from finding peace. He took it and returned to the living room where the piano stood. He placed the letter on the keys and quietly said, "I am here to help you find peace." At that moment, the air in the room sparkled, and gentle melodic sounds poured from the piano. It was the same melody she loved to play during her lifetime. He felt the cold recede and the air grow lighter. The woman's figure reappeared before him, but this time her eyes were calm, and a slight smile played on her face. She nodded to him in gratitude, and then slowly dissolved into the air, leaving behind only a faint scent of flowers. When he left the mansion, The morning sun was already rising above the horizon, dispelling the fog. The house, which only a few hours ago had seemed like a haven of evil, now looked simply old and abandoned, but no longer so frightening. He knew that he had fulfilled his purpose and helped an unhappy soul find peace. He would never forget this night, and it would forever change his view of the world.
Good night. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.